Welcome to this session. Today, let's learn what harassment looks like, how it impacts the organization, and what organizations can do to prevent harassment. Imagine walking into work every day, but instead of feeling safe and respected, you feel uneasy, targeted, and isolated. Workplace harassment is real, and it affects not just employees, but the entire work culture. Let's put things into perspective. According to National Crime Records Bureau, India has reported over 400 cases of sexual harassment at workplaces each year from 2018 to 2022, averaging 445 cases annually. In 2022 alone, there were 419 reported cases. That's about 35 incidents per month. These numbers highlight the urgent need for stronger policies and awareness to ensure safer work environments. This is not a new concern. To understand how far we have come, let's go back to 1992 Rajasthan. A woman named Banwari Devi, a social worker, was brutally assaulted for standing against child marriage. She sought justice, but India had no strong workplace harassment laws at the time. This tragic case led to the Vishaka Guidelines in 1997, paving the way for sexual harassment of women at workplace. Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013. Workplace harassment isn't limited to one type of behavior. It can be verbal, physical, psychological, or even digital. But before we go further, let's clarify what organizational harassment really means. An unwelcome conduct based on race, gender, or other protected characteristics that creates a hostile environment impacting employee well being and productivity. Think about a time when you saw or heard about unfair treatment in a workplace. What could have been done differently? Harassment is of different types. It's more than just physical misconduct. Let's break it down. The first type of harassment is verbal harassment. This involves spoken or written communication that is offensive, demeaning, or threatening, insults, offensive jokes, threats, etc. Physical harassment. This is what majority of us know about. It encompasses any form of unwelcome physical contact or invasive action such as pushing, shoving, touching, or any behavior that makes an individual feel physically threatened or unsafe. The next type is psychological harassment. This refers to actions that manipulate or undermine an individual's emotional or mental well being. This can include constant criticism, isolation, psychological intimidation, or threats to job security, or even gaslighting. Cyberbullying. Harassing or intimidating colleagues through digital communication channels, offensive messages, exclusion from work discussions, etc. We also have discriminatory harassment. It includes unfair, offensive, or hostile treatment based on protected characteristics such as race, ethnicity or nationality, gender or gender identity, religion or beliefs, disability, age, or even caste for that matter. We also have other types of harassment. Power harassment, exploitation of authority or hierarchical position to demean, manipulate, or unfairly control subordinates. We have retaliation harassment, negative actions taken against employees for reporting misconduct or standing up against unfair treatment. We also have third party harassment, harassment from individuals outside the organization, such as clients, customers, or even business partners. What is the key takeaway from this? It is that harassment isn't just physical, it can be emotional and digital too. 1990, Haryana. Ruchika Girhotra, a young tennis player who was sexually harassed by a senior police officer. Due to intimidation and threats, her complaints were ignored. The emotional distress eventually led to her suicide. This case highlighted the deep rooted gender harassment issues in workplaces and institutions. So, what is gender harassment? It is a form of workplace discrimination that involves hostile, degrading, or offensive behavior directed at someone based on their gender, gender identity, or gender expression. Ruchika's case reflects the power imbalance in workplaces. Gender harassment isn't just about inappropriate advances, it includes sexist jokes, exclusion from leadership roles, and hostile work environments. Much like Ruchika's experience, many employees don't report harassment due to fear of retaliation. In many Indian workplaces, victims, not perpetrators, are blamed, forcing them to quit and suffer in silence. With rise of work from home, many assumed workplace harassment would decrease. But do you think it really did decrease? Telecommuting, it is also known as remote work or work from home. It refers to work arrangement where employees perform their job duties outside of a traditional office setting, usually home or other locations. So what do the current statistics on remote work in India says? If we look at the graph, as of 2025, approximately 12.7% of full-time employees in India work entirely from home. Additional 28.2% of employees have adopted a hybrid work arrangement combining both remote and in-office work. Majority of them, that is 59.1% of the workforce, continues to operate primarily from traditional office settings. If you look at this graph, 55% of respondents viewed working from home unfavorably, citing challenges such as increased workloads and difficulties in distinguishing between work and personal life. Conversely, 45% appreciated the flexibility and elimination of commuting associated with remote work. So, does telecommuting help in reducing harassment? With rise of work from home arrangements, especially after COVID-19, harassment has shifted from physical offices to digital platforms like emails, video calls, messaging apps, and workplace collaboration tools. There was a study conducted by All Voices, the State of Workplace Harassment 2021 report. It found that 38% of employees still experience harassment remotely via inappropriate emails, exclusion from meetings, offensive comments during virtual calls. So it had surveyed around 800 full-time employees in the United States. Additionally, 24% of the participants believe that harassment continued or worsened through remote work channels. So, how does all of this affect business or the organization? It decreases employee morale. Harassment leads to fear, stress, and dissatisfaction among employees. It also leads to higher turnout rates. Talented employees leave the organization due to hostile work environments. Lower productivity. Victims may disengage, resulting in missed deadlines, errors, and inefficiency. Legal and financial consequences. Harassment can lead to lawsuits, fines, and reputational damage. Toxic workplace culture. If unchecked, harassment normalizes abusive behavior, making it hard to attract skilled professionals. Many Indian startups have faced backlash for fostering toxic work environment. leading to mass resignation and lawsuits. How do we prevent harassment? In India, the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013, which is also called as POSH Act, defines sexual harassment and provides a mechanism for addressing complaints. Internal Complaints Committee. It is required under the POSH Act for workplaces with more than 10 employees to handle harassment complaints. Comprehensive POSH policy. Clearly define harassment, reporting procedures, and consequences for violators. Regular POSH training and workshops. It educates employees on their rights and the redressal process. Display POSH guidelines. Ensure awareness by making guidelines visible at workplaces. Legal compliance. Employers must conduct enquiries, submit reports, and act on ICC recommendations as per the POSH Act. The change starts with us. So let's build a workplace where people thrive and not just survive.